As we turn to green building materials, the greenest is here and has been for a long time. Steel, American steel. In the United States, modern technology has replaced the blast furnace of the past. Seattle's Nucor Mill is a prime example of this modern technology, as well as the provider of family wage jobs and local tax revenues.
So there's really two different ways that you can make steel. You can make steel in what's called an electric arc furnace process, where you recycle old steel, or you can make it from scratch in what's called an integrated process. And so the United States has 70% of its steel being made in a recycling process, and China has less than 15%. A lot of the offshore production of steel, even if it is made in electric arc furnace, it does have a larger environmental footprint for a few different reasons. Number one, the regulatory framework in a lot of countries, in particular Asia and China, is a lot more lax than the United States. And if you've ever seen images from China with smoke billowing out of these factories and compare that to what you see coming out of a plant like the Nucor mill here in Seattle, there's a very large difference that you can actually see with your own eyes. Another factor is that all that material, which is very heavy of course, has to be shipped from there back to the United States, and the transportation of that material in and of itself creates pollution and emissions. A third factor has to do with the electricity grid. So the recycling of steel, the primary source of energy is electricity. If you compare that to integrated manufacturing, the primary source of energy is coal. But even if you're looking at the recycling, if in a lot of places outside the United States, a lot of coal is used to generate electricity. And if you compare that in particular to the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, the electricity is made from hydro generation, which essentially has zero carbon associated with it.
Recycling is not just a convenient term used in American steel production. It is how we do it. A Washington construction project tells that story.
One differentiating thing about steel is that when you compare it to other building materials is that it's infinitely recyclable. The scrap that we're using here at the Seattle mill to make rebar could be coming from old buildings. It could be your soup cans that you put outside the curb, and it could be old automobiles that are at the end of their life. And one really powerful example that I like to highlight of this and the mill's role in the circular economy is this mill produced the steel that was used to construct the State Route 99 viaduct. And when that viaduct got demolished, the scrap steel was pulled out, it came back here, we melted it, and we produced the new rebar that went into the State Route 99 tunnel.
The safer environmental standards of American steel are important, but steel is also a critical strategic material. The supply chain at any time is subject to international conflicts, trade disputes, and yes, pandemics.
Steel is absolutely a strategic material. It is what's used to build critical infrastructure for both defense and for civil life. Without the ability to produce it ourselves, we are reliant on others to produce it. And I think a really great example of that was during the pandemic. And we quickly ran out of a lot of critical protective equipment for our medical industry. And that was a direct result of not being able to produce that equipment here in the United States.
Once made, steel goes to a fabricator, of which the Northwest has some of the most modern in the nation.
We're having to show our recycled contents of where the materials come. Are they coming from a radius? What is their VOC emission? And we're buying products that meet or exceed those requirements. You won't always find that coming from elsewhere, outside of domestic US.
And the financial impact of American steel will be noticed.
So as a resident and a citizen of the state of Washington, it's important to me to know that my tax dollars are helping feed a very environmentally sustainable economy, as well as providing thousands of well-paid jobs.
Local steel manufacturing and fabrication will begin to replace some of the manufacturing jobs our state is losing. Your support of American steel will add to Washington's economic recovery and our environmental goals. Thank you for watching.